Pay attention on your pads. There is, as you can see here, an inner and an outer. The inner has this here. Hey everybody, we're out here in the driveway today. We're going to do pads and rotors on the driver's side of Old Blue here. If you saw in our previous videos, we did the caliper on the other side, so it's got new pads and a new rotor and a new caliper. We're also going to do the brake hose today, but this video will be just the pads and rotors. We'll do one video for both. On the front, there will be a playlist pop up that will be pads, rotors, caliper, and hose. We've already got it up in the air. Just so you know, it's a 21mm socket for your lug nuts. On the frame right here, Ford did this really cool thing, but they put a little arrow that points to where you need to jack the truck up. So I'm gonna grab a jack stand, shove it into there. Steve's getting an air hose. We're gonna pull the wheel off, and we'll go from there. A little bit of advice here. These lug nuts are bad to get stuck in the socket. So what you can do is thread them back on a little bit, like 1 or 2 threads, and then the socket will come out, and you just take it loose with your fingers. Instead of like taking the socket and the lug nut and beating it, just thread it back on, pull the socket off, take it loose with your fingers. It's a lot easier. So on the caliper, you have 2 14s to hold the caliper to the slide bolts. I took those apart separate. If you're just doing pads, you can get by with that. If you're doing rotors, you have 2 21s, same size as lug nuts, what luck. So I'm going to go get a half, I'd love to get my impact in there, but I can't. So I'm gonna go get a 1/2 inch breaker bar. I've sprayed everything with PB Blaster. I was gonna do the hose, but I got the driver's side hose, and the bracket, this bracket right here, is backward. That puts the hose out here. And when you put that bracket on, this bracket doesn't fit. So I don't know if the bracket was installed wrong at the factory. There's no way to fix it either. Like take it off and flip it around. I was like, maybe it's just on upside down. No, it just won't fit. So I'm gonna take this back and get the other one, but we'll go ahead and do the pad and rotor while we're in here. Rotor is off. I used a short 21. A little bit of advice if you're gonna work on the passenger side, turn the wheel all the way to the passenger side. If you're gonna work on the driver's side, turn to the passenger side. If you're gonna work vice versa, you know what I'm saying? Turn it against it that way. As you can see, the wheel is angled and it gave me room to get in here. They were super tight. I had to hammer at them. A little bit of advice. This rotor actually came loose. I got lucky. But if you notice, there are 2 holes here and here. There's normally for set screws, but this truck doesn't have set screws. So what you can do is run a bolt in there and thread it in. And when it goes in and hits the hub, it will start pushing out, and it will actually break the rotor loose from the rust and corrosion. So we'll get the rotor off, put the new one on. We'll compress these pistons with a C-clamp. Pay attention on your pads. There is, as you can see here, an inner and an outer. The inner has this here. The caliper is like angled, as you can see. So if you put them in the wrong way, it could damage the caliper, break the pads. I know a lot of your newer pads have actually stopped making this way. They're just making basically 2 outers, that way you can't swap them. They're also going to swap these and reduce these. You got hardware here. And like I said, that line's wrong, so we may run and get the right line or whatever. So to replace these little bracket tabs, they have a tab. You just take a screwdriver, they won't just pop off, right? Now my suggestion is anywhere metal meets metal, anywhere there a pad meets metal, etc., etc., here, 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 and on the front, and put a little light layer of grease. So these will go like that. But before we do that, I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on them. And if you want to, this would be a good time to paint your caliper or wire brush this and paint it. If you want to go racer red or black or whatever. And also, while you're at it, we're going to grease these. Okay? So I'll go get some grease and we'll be right back. So the trick here, hook this lip on the inside first, and then push the little retaining clip on. It's a lot easier than doing it the other way. And don't go crazy on the grease, because when you do, it will splatter out and take a chance on getting on your rotor. So just put it on. And then once you get them on, what I'm going to do So I will take if they have a trouble seating, you can also take like a screwdriver and give them a little love tap, whatever. Always the last one. That one just acts like the retaining clip is broke. Whatever. There it goes. Okay. Now, once that's done, take a little bit of grease on the front here. So you can either, what Steve and I have done is we've bought a tub of grease. This is basically like wheel bearing grease, high temp grease. They do make specific brake caliper grease, normally in like a little job pack. You buy them for $1, or you can buy like a huge thing of grease here and just use it over and over and over. I have a tube of specific ceramic brake grease. I'm gonna go heavy on these sliders. The reason I go heavy on the sliders is when you put them in, a lot of it will come off on the boot, on the inside of the boot, on the outside. Plus then once I put it in, I'll spin it around. By spinning it around, you coat the whole inside of this. Always do this because I've had one of these get locked up on my 350Z because the boot got a hole in it and it got rain in it. It got water in it and it rusted. And then I did a video on a Mustang where they told me the caliper was locked up, but it was not. This had seized because they'd never greased them. And what else you can do is if you put a blob on the end of it, that when you shove it in and it goes in, it spread out. So what else I'm going to do is take this boot off. Just put a blob of that. And make sure when you put these on, there's a lip. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a ridge that locks inside of here. If you don't, you'll create an air gap and place for water and rust and everything to get in. So like I said, once you get it in, it's sealed. What I will do is just make sure it moves good. And as you can see, I'm actually forcing some of the old grease out. So what I will do, take these back off. Grease out. Spin it, make sure it moves good. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, work it in and out, give it a spin. This is ready to go back on there. Everything is back together, 214s, 221s. One thing that, notice also, I got my ears on the inside here. The ears will actually ride in this little opening. And if you put them out here, they don't. One thing that was weird was I replaced these and the pads were really hard to get in. Like I had to put them in and then take my end of my screwdriver and tap them in. So it was just really odd. I've never had them be that tight. So I took them out, re-greased them, made sure everything was greased. That way they can move freely. Everything's good. We'll hit this with a little bit of brake clean, throw the wheel on. We'll be done. We're out here in the garage today. Start over. I think they need to change, Steve.
My gosh. It wasn't making any noise yet.
No.
Should we put it back on and run it?
What is it? Put it back on and get it. I know people that would. Mike Duncan used to tell me, he said that he had people that would come in and want their pads changed, and they'd, well, can you just do the driver's side's bad. Can you just do the driver's side?